If all illegal drugs became legal to purchase and consume, which drug would you try? DMT. I like to compare that experience to drop rides at amusement parks. It's short, but it will completely overwhelm you during the ride. I've done it once and broke through, as they say. 5 years later, and I'm still not sure what the hell happened. It's a once in a lifetime experience. But just be ready. Was I supposed to wait? Back when I worked at Target, my coworkers were like, when I'm really old I'm going to try this. Duck it. And your comment perfectly describes my thought process to that. Reminds me of high school. The senior valedictorian for my junior year was this girl that probably had 4.2 GPA. Super sweet and goody 2 shoes. Probably never jaywalked. The week before graduation, she got up in the middle of app physics, blurted, "I'm not learning anything here," and left. Solely so she could experience getting detention. Then again, she chose which Ivy League university she attended by which dorm had the best food. That last sentence is just more proof of her intelligence. I kinda agree with you. At that point, the prestige is likely the same. Why not choose the school with the best quality of life, since you'd be there 4 years? Anything that puts me to sleep instead of being stuck with daydreams in bed. Be careful. There are 2 kinds of sleep aids. 1. Habit forming. 2. Habit forming. But they say non-habit forming on them. Sleep is super important. So becoming reliant on anything, especially a drug, is pretty dangerous. Many sleep aids can adversely affect the quality of your sleep long term. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. And I imagine some of them are not that bad. Just be careful. I was given diazepam to help me sleep. That stuff is crazy dangerous. 1 pill stopped working. 2 stopped working. Etc. It's a downward spiral from there. LSD. I would try heroin when I'm close to the end, where if it kills me it's no great loss. I've always wanted to know what is so good about it that it makes otherwise rational people sail their ship straight into the rocks. It's not that it's so good, which I mean, it is literally like a constant orgasm. But once you become physically addicted, your brain literally puts the obtainment of the drug before everything else in your mind. So even though you know that your mom will be hurt and kick you out if you steal another $300 from her, and you don't want those things to happen, your brain has physiologically prioritized the heroin to all of that because it can't produce its own endorphins anymore. Your brain has categorized heroin as important as water in your automatic mind. Most of that insane dependence stems from people not wanting to experience the incredibly bad withdrawals. Plenty of people who are addicted don't get that high anymore. They just use to not get the withdrawals. It's a terrible drug. Yes, that's part of it too. You're taking it just to feel normal. BC, your brain has shut off its own dopamine production. I'm speaking as a recovered opiate addict, so yeah. The physiology of opiate addiction is a pretty big topic. It probably doesn't mean much from a stranger on the internet, but it made me really happy to read that you're recovered. Qualudes edit. Thank you for my first gold. Now if I could find my first loot without going to South Africa. If pot was completely legal, and employers no longer tested for it for pre-employment, I'd try that in a heartbeat. Just wait until you've done a drug test, and then try it. They won't do it 2 weeks in a row, unless they really want an excuse to fire someone. Edit. It seems like there's a lot of variation between the way different companies handle this, so please don't risk your job. Mushrooms in a clinical setting to get myself off cigarettes. Over 85% chance to quit smoking using psychedelics as a treatment. But it's illegal because... who knows why? I hope they become legal soon. Microdosing is amazing and has helped with my depression and anxiety so much. But it's so hard to get it right and have accidentally ate too much, and I didn't enjoy that. I want to be able to know exactly what I'm getting every single time. I'd still just smoke weed. In my 40s, I've tried a lot of stuff in my earlier years. I've balked at some like H. when a couple of my flatmates had a 2-week dalliance with chasing the dragon, which luckily ended after another friend had his arm broken by a skaghead over a bum deal. And frankly, I'd rather have a spliff and a nice beer, or an single malt with some mates, and have a nice chat or watch a movie than spending a couple of hours watching the wallpaper move, done, or dancing for 6 hours in a warehouse while thinking everyone is the greatest person in the world, done, or staying awake for 28 hours straight playing Mortal Kombat, done, etc. Well said. I'm in my mid-20s, and at this point I've tried everything I want to, everything but the hard shit, meth, crack. Even now when I do cocaine, my body and brain are ducked for 2 days minimum. At this point it's solely booze, and weed, and a moderate amount of that. There's a reason weed and booze have been popular since humans could think. Peyote. It is already legal in Arizona. There is a whole church around it called Peyote Way Church of God. That drug called love. Hey man, if that drug called love is currently illegal for you, then something's either really ducked up about the country you're living in, or something's really ducked up about you. Ayahuasca. It's the only drug I want to do that I haven't been able to try yet. I did mescaline in Peru. Ayahuasca was an option too, but from what people told me, it sounded like it would be a horrible experience. Mescaline is the light and ayahuasca is the dark. I'll stick to the light, and also, not shitting my pants and vomiting. Some drugs are beloved because they are like dying and being reborn, but I don't want to ducking die. It's more forgetting you exist than dying, so it's not as bad as you might think. Honestly, none of them. Not because I'm not curious, but because I know I have an addictive personality. I've struggled with online gambling sites. I managed to cut myself off before it became an actual problem, and I still struggle with food addiction. I know it start just to try and then end up with a real problem. Edit. Holy moly, this got big overnight. I just want to add a couple of things to answer some of the more commonly brought up points. Firstly, I never said all drugs are addictive. Just that I have an addictive personality and would become so. I can get addicted to anything, a hobby, a new habit, etc., and would likely get addicted to the way the drug made me feel rather than the substance itself. Secondly, psychedelics are one I would never touch, and it has nothing to do with addiction. I have schizophrenia, diagnosed and kept well under control now, and I don't think taking anything designed for causing tripping or hallucinations is a good idea given that issue. Thanks everyone for their points of view, whether I agree or not, and for the couple of awards. I stand by my decision that I'd never try any kind of drugs, regardless of legality, because of my own personality flaws towards addictive behavior, but I don't judge anyone who does. Smart decision. Same boat as above. My family has a long history of alcohol, drug, and life choice decisions that I suspect I have. I'm in my mid-30s and never done any substance or alcohol for that reason. Don't care so much if others do it. I know it's just not for me. I've tried pretty much everything I want to try, but I would choose cocaine any day. Nothing quite like it. But I don't want to go back there. Yeah, the exact same for me. In fact, this quarantine couldn't have come at a better time for me. I was struggling a lot with quitting. It has a way to pull you in unlike any other drug I've tried. Sucks. I assume you haven't used meth. If you haven't, don't. Meth is about 1,000,000 times worse than cocaine from the standpoint of addictiveness. I haven't touched the stuff in 2 years, and I still have dreams about it a couple times a month. Ketamine. Oh, special K. How close I hold thee to my heart and olfactory system. I'd just grow a poppy field and a bunch of weed. Be boolin' for the rest of my days. Technically poppies aren't illegal to grow. It's only when you grow enough for intent to produce/distribute. You can grow a couple poppies and harvest the opium from them. The year before last I grew around 20 of them, and they only produced enough opium for a few hits and a hair change. Opium isn't that potent. Yes, I know different varieties exist and some have a stronger morphine percent. I wish I knew more about this topic. In the past, I've purchased unwashed poppy seeds online and attempted to make a tea with them to help ease the pain of my osteoarthritis. It only gave me a stomachache. I'm obviously not a scientist. Hallucinogenics. Recent studies have shown that they help much better than regular traditional medications with depression and anxiety. They last for a longer time than traditional medicines as well. Speaking from extensive experience, they can most certainly have that effect. I have gone from the very brink of suicide to being consistently happy and essentially imperturbable, and I no longer need to do any sort of dosing to remain in that peaceful state. Meditating and studying the world's non-dual wisdom traditions have been vitally necessary parts of finding my way to stability without the need for further medication. However, my experiences with psychedelics are what cracked those doors open widely enough to poke my head through in the first place. Nice try, officer. Thanks for watching. Don't leave before leaving a like to this video.